higher education is broken. With college regret at an all-time high and employability at an all-time low, it's no wonder that the pendulum is swinging hard against higher education. Wherever you turn, be it on Reddit, social media, or, God forbid, talking with people in real life, it's easy to see that what once used to be this very obvious and very profitable decision has kinda lost most, if not all, of its luster. Perhaps it was always meant to end like this, out with a whimper rather than a bang. Unless there's hope. Let's therefore find out together why the Dutch do it better. In a recent Freakonomics podcast titled Higher Education is Broken, Can It Be Fixed?, academic economist and certified GILF Michael D. Smith talks about how, relative to other forms of debt that exist in the economy, such as house debt or vehicle debt, college debt is going through the fucking roof, with an over 700% increase between 1989 and 2019, so right before the pandemic. And you see, while in the past no one ever really liked college debt, obviously, it was more seen as kind of this necessary evil of the economy, because higher education was obviously perceived as one of the best investments you could make in your life. Nowadays, however, this whole Einstein orgy has unfortunately ended, with young people saying that they no longer see the return on investment as being worthwhile. And that's not even half the story. Besides the structural problems that we discussed earlier, to which we'll come back, don't worry, a big issue is that students themselves are also getting fucked while in college, and not only in the good way. It's never been more obvious to me that we are indeed living through what the Harvard Business Review calls a burnout epidemic. I've spoken to quite a few of my students while doing research for this video, and a sort of consensus seems to be emerging nowadays. Mental health is at an all-time low because many feel that they have to work more and, do more stuff for their resumes and CVs, whilst getting a much lower return on their investment in the labor market. The result is then going to be quite obvious, right? Stress, anxiety, burnout, and regret. But it doesn't have to be this way. Over the years, I've come to understand that one of the biggest problems students have is that no matter how smart they are, most of them are still human. I mean that they're very bad at managing their time. Now, this by itself would not really be the biggest problem in the world, being that procrastination never actually killed anyone, but this deeply ingrained instinct that most of us have to kind of push our responsibilities forward really doesn't mesh all that well with how exams are structured in university. And let's, for the sake of clarity, have a look at a random university as an example. Cambridge. How convenient. So at Cambridge, much alike in many universities in the world, students start the academic year early in the autumn, sometimes around September, October. But they are only examined at the end of spring / the beginning of summer. 9 whole months or a pregnancy's worth from when they start studying. And this, in my opinion, is a major problem for these students, because sure, ideally, everyone would be able to kind of spread their workload evenly across the 9 months in which they have to study, but in reality, hazard a guess, is this what most students do? What actually happens in over 90% of cases is that students do the bare minimum for the first 6 or 7 months, preferring instead to meet up for fortnight LAN parties with their friends and enemies, before cramming like there's no tomorrow in those final 2 months when exams are actually looming near and people realize that they have to get their shit together, which is gonna take a major toll on your mental health. People are not designed to operate like this. Not in the Netherlands, however. In the Netherlands, this whole problem doesn't actually exist because of a very ingenious trick that they pulled. Instead of relying on students, on humans to kind of spread their workload, the institution, the university, does it for them. In Dutch university, rather than having this system where you have, I don't know, 8 to 10 courses that you have to study for almost a year before finally being examined, instead you have blocks of around 2 months where you study a couple of courses for taking some exams at the end and moving on from that shit. As someone who actually did their undergraduate at a Dutch university, I cannot begin to tell you just how much of a prodigious difference this simple adjustment makes for your mental health, for your feeling of well-being whilst in college. Suddenly, you know what's ahead of you. You know what to focus on. And yet, it doesn't end there. The Dutch education system can look like an absolute mess when you first look upon it. With so many branching paths and confusing terminology, it honestly might as well be like a Zelda dungeon. And look, I'm not here to give you like an in-depth overview of how this whole system works. Instead, what I want to focus on is kinda on this system's best aspect, which is the existence of this branching path right here called the HAVO. Okay, so what is HAVO? Well, essentially, after 8 years of mandatory schooling, Dutch students are given a choice. They can go down this vocational route here called the VMBO, where, you know, they're equipped with like practical knowledge to become electricians, plumbers, carpenters, you name it. And then on the other side of the scale, you have this VWO, which is basically the path you take if you want to go to what people in less developed countries call university. You get like your bachelor's, master's, PhDs, blah, 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 blah. So far, so good. And this is pretty much how things are structured in developing economies as well, which is a problem. Because telling people that they can only do vocational training or get like a research-based degree means that no preparation exists in like our higher education system for like a host of professions that are otherwise in high demand on the job market. And as a result, many people like flock to universities, to research universities, when they have no business being there, leading to like this diffusion of degree value, a loss of job prospects, the rise of Beelzebub, and ultimately college regret. In the Netherlands, however, a middle path does exist. HAVO's, otherwise known as Universities of Applied Sciences. In these institutions, besides like theoretical knowledge, students are offered practical, hands-on experience in their field with internships sprinkled along the way. Meaning that at the end of their studies, they actually have relevant job market experience. Look, I might be biased, or I might be the wisest being in the universe. Who's to say? But to me, the existence of these HAVOs, the existence of this middle child in college choice is actually sheer brilliance. And this, my friends, is how the Dutch saved higher education. Thanks for watching. We have blocked ads for you. Excuse me, but also thank you.